It's the Montessori Power Hour. I'm David Hargis.
And I'm Aubrey Hargis. And today we are feeling grateful to be here with you here on our Montessori Power Hour here live on YouTube. And today we are talking all about gratitude as 'tis the season.
'Tis the season.
To be grateful, or at least to be thinking about being grateful and making plans for all of that gratitude you're going to express with family, with friends, with your children. And we'll talk about how to help your children to express their gratitude as well, which is super, super important life skill.
That's right.
And we are going to explore the art of tablescaping, which is something I particularly love. It calms me. It is a Montessori ritual that has entered our household and really never left. And we're going to talk about how we can help our children develop those practical skills for reading, for writing, and for math through a simple activity of creating a placemat.
Ooh, but first, it is the holidays, at least, here in North America, in the U.S. It's Thanksgiving next week. We won't be on the air, so we wanted to go ahead and give a few holiday tips ahead of time. And we wanted to start with, it's officially the season of gratitude, but yes, and I'm grateful for these leaves. But therein lies a conflict. During the time of the year when we're supposed to be most grateful, we are also under some of the most intense stress. And it's true for adults as well as our children, and they kind of feed one to the other. So you could see it in their behavior. You might already be seeing some of this poke up as the Christmas lights and other things start to appear in your neighborhood. They get maybe they get a little whinier, a little more hyper, maybe more bedtime battles, arguments with siblings and with you. Just like a flat out attitude of ungratefulness, which is the opposite of what this period is supposed to be about. So it begs the question, are there any Montessori tips that can help through this period of joy and stress?
Joy and stress. Well, there are a lot of Montessori lessons that we can use for our kids that will help them to deal with their stress. The whininess is no joke. I particularly have had this feeling myself when we're in the middle of, gift-giving season, where I don't know if it has happened to you yet. It probably will sometime during your parenthood, where you give your child a gift, or more likely a relative gives your child a gift, and then they're like, thanks. And they kind of like chuck it behind them, or they don't even say thanks. They're just like, oh, it's a blank, and then they go run
That's
off.
right.
Or in the case of one of our kids, literally said to Grandma, didn't you give us this last year? Did you forget you gave us the same gift twice in a row? And we were like, oh, just say
Probably
thank you.
did. And that's okay.
Yeah, so just because you raise a Montessori child and you give all of these lessons, I guess I want to just preface this with the fact that because we give these Montessori lessons, it does not mean that we are raising perfect human beings. Okay,
No,
in any way.
of course not.
Like
Yeah.
there is a preconception in the Montessori community and larger in the positive and gentle, compassionate parenting community that if we X, our children will become Y.
That's
And
right.
that is false. That is a big myth. And so I think coming into the season, it's important for us to acknowledge that, yes, there are things that we can do to teach our children, but also we're going to have to keep doing it. Like these are lessons that aren't just given once, they're to be repeated throughout the year.
Well, for the whole of your life.
For year to year to year to year to year.
Even as adults, we have to continue. Because what I think is interesting about the grace and courtesy lessons is not just about my own behavior and being grateful and courteous, but also having compassion for the other person and saying, like, people make mistakes. I forgive you. We're all trying together. And so a sense of also sort of like compassion and forgiveness that goes with it as well, which is also something that it's important to teach. Because otherwise we kind of take on too much. Maybe we get crushed under the weight of our own failures and we don't learn to let go, and then that becomes really debilitating, or we become really like completely narcissistic and we just think like we can run the place. So that is a two-way street, and the grace and courtesy lessons I think are beautiful because they aren't just about your own behavior, but also about how you interact with others and how you see others.
It is. So we're talking specifically about the lessons that are in the practical life section of our core curriculum.
That's right.
For primary, which is right here. Lower elementary does not have a practical life section.
A dedicated practical
That
life.
is, it does not have a practical life area because we teach these lessons in primary, and then they are just meant to be continued to be taught again and again. Because elementary children also need to remind themselves of these things and to review them. But there are a lot of lessons in here that actually will help the holiday season. Let's see if we can you skip to I'll take this off so I can see.
What?
I'm adorning myself with fall. Okay, and I'm going to skip here so we can see.
So
you found the grace and courtesy section.
Yeah, so grace and courtesy is within the practical life section. And we have
And I'm going to pull
organized it into 3 levels.
out of our little cards
So
here.
the cards also go with this. And these are the classic grace and courtesy lessons that you would find in any Montessori classroom. Things like how to blow your nose or wash your hands or say hello or thank you or so forth. And as you can imagine, these are pretty relevant to the season of gratitude. I guess maybe that G should be gratitude and courtesy for the holidays.
We can say it's gratitude and courtesy. I actually love that.
That's great. Yes. So now we have to come up with gratitude and Christmas.
Here we go. Okay, so I've got level 1,
something. See.
gratitude and courtesy, and I've got level 3, gratitude and courtesy, and I'm just looking for the card here that is level
So you
2,
can see here.
gratitude and courtesy, and then we're going to kind of review. We're going to go through some of them with you. If you are a member at home and you have a set of your practical life cards, you might get these cards out.
Yep.
And maybe put a little star next to some of these lessons. Is it going to be the very last one?
It's always the last place you
Or
look.
did I pass it? Oh, it was just under my stack. Here we go. Okay, so here we've got level 1, gratitude and courtesy, level 2, gratitude and courtesy, level 3, gratitude and courtesy. So what I'd like to do is start by just reading through these lessons, and then when we come to a lesson that we think will help us through the holiday season, we're going to pause and we'll find it in our book, okay?
And underscore, if you're looking for these, if you're in the complete curriculum or the unlimited curriculum, you will have this exact material. You can also find these in the Lesson Explorer, the digital database, and the cards that go with it that you can print out and be using. Okay,
so are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, number 1, this is in level 1, greeting a friend. Maybe you'll have a Friendsgiving. It's a thing.
Yes.
So that could be useful. Introducing oneself.
Yes.
Could be useful if you have people coming over for the holidays that your child has never met before. Maybe there's a great aunt.
Yeah, a distant relative is coming to visit, or an old college friend that's having Thanksgiving with you, something like that.
Yes. Or just relatives that your child hasn't seen in a long time.
That's right.
We experienced that ourselves. David has a larger my extended family is a bit smaller. David's is actually quite large, and I'm always a little overwhelmed when we have big gatherings at his mom's house. So for several years, we had to, our kids had to we had to kind of make those introductions several years in a row because our kids would forget. A whole year goes by. We haven't seen all of those relatives, and then we would have to remind our kids.
That's right. No, that's the one with the mustache. No. That's the
I know.
one who's
And they
short.
would have to introduce themselves again because our kids would be a whole year older and they would look totally different, right? So what is under introducing oneself? Because that could be possibly useful if you're in a larger gathering this season.
This is how you say hello. So the steps would be you're going to, and this might be a good time to say that when you're practicing this, you're going to use role playing, a lot of role playing. So you're going to role play meeting a new person. It could be a doll or the child, and you would say hello, hello to the new person, and then tell them it's nice to meet them. And then the next step is you're going to tell the person your name and ask the person for their name, and then you're going to give them a handshake or a wave or whatever might be appropriate for the circumstances. Maybe a hug if it's a relative or something.
You know what I love to do with these kinds of things is introducing yourself to a new person can be very intimidating for children. Very, very. A lot of children will hide behind the parents' legs, you know, and if the new person is not understanding of children, it can be a really awkward situation, right? So what I like to do with kids is I like to have them role play it first, not with themselves, but with like some stuffed animals.
Yeah.
And so they would, we could even we each could be holding our stuffed animal, and we could say, now we're going to have, now Bear needs to introduce herself to Giraffe. To use Giraffe and Bear. Recently, I'm thinking of the stuffies that our kids had.
Do you feel like we need a volunteer for this moment? No, not yet.
Okay. I'm trying to nudge you. So no, I'm just trying to focus.
Oh, sorry. What is next in the grace and courtesy?
Okay, so sorry. So you understand what I'm saying, right? You're going to use two little stuffies, introduce themselves to each other first. Okay. So second one, requesting something.
Yeah, so...
Could this be useful?
Of course. So may I have the mashed potatoes?
May I have the mashed potatoes? That sounds very useful.
It does.
Okay.
Assuming you eat mashed potatoes.
Yeah. So this one, I'll read this one. This one says, give a lesson on using courteous language. Prepare to role play making a request from a person. This can be a doll or your child. Say the name of the person. Ask for something specific politely. Use the words may I or would you or please. And then express gratitude when the request is granted. So we have our G word coming up again. So with this one, I would actually go to the table or wherever you anticipate having this situation occur. Probably, I think your example of having it during a meal where you're passing things around. In my family's tradition for Thanksgiving, we always put all of the food out and just served it buffet style on the kitchen counter. That's my memory. Probably it happened different ways, but my memory is like serving ourselves, at least from our house. But I remember at your house, passing the dishes around the table is a big deal. We do it every single time we come and have a big formal dinner. So that skill is actually really important for our kids to know.
That's right.
Right? Is how to get that pepper, which is on the opposite side of the table, over to you without reaching your arm over and getting your arm in someone else's food, or just like running around to the other side of the table, which our kids would do, right? So that's a really useful one. So you're going to sit down with your kid and you're going to just role play with something that you have in front of you, and you'll just take turns. May I have the cup?
You may.
Thank you. So that's it. It's really, really simple. All of these grace and courtesy lessons are super, super simple. Okay, so the rest of the ones that are on level 1, blowing one's nose, coughing, sneezing, yawning. That might be one we have to reteach. I've been seeing a lot of yawning in public from our teenagers recently. Opening and closing books, decorating the peace table. Talk about the peace table another time. I think we've done another episode on that. Move on to level 2. Level 2 is observing, not interrupting. Super hard with kids. I probably would say this is actually not a good time to teach that one during the holiday season.
There's just too many other distractions and stresses.
Yes. So teach observing, not interrupting in January or February when things are calmer and your child is a little more focused. Getting someone's attention. This is really hard. It might be helpful during the holidays because there will be a lot of distractions.
Well, it can be very noisy at a party if you have. Everybody's situation is different, but I know, like in my family gatherings, there can be a lot of people in a house, and it can get boisterous. And if you need somebody's attention, it can get really hard to get it.
It can be.
And I remember even as a little kid trying to get someone's attention, and if they're not tuned into you already, then you're just a little nothing, and nobody's they don't see you, like they're busy talking or drinking or whatever they're doing. And so this is a great one, I think, actually for the holidays.
Yes, getting someone's attention. And I guess I would also say that if you anticipate your child being in kind of a chaotic environment, going to a party or a big family gathering, I think something that we tried to remember really, really specifically, we would have to kind of remind ourselves to do is to remember that our kids come first when it comes to attention when we're at a party or a large social gathering. It can be embarrassing when you're an adult and your kid is like, daddy, 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 daddy,
right.
or like doing gymnastics or jumping on the couch to try, like they will do everything they can to get your attention. You see it unfortunately captured in like viral videos and YouTube and stuff. But I mean, it's actually a sign of stress. If you think about it, if your child is hopping up and down, yanking on your pants, yanking your pants down to get your attention, it means that they're in crisis. They are really, really stressed and they need your attention right then. And their needs are actually more important than what's going on between you and another adult. And I know that we don't always want it to be that way. We want to teach our children to be polite always. But if your child is like in that frantic nature, like they need you right then. So stop what you're doing, give them your attention, explain that you're talking to another adult, but deal with your kid first. If you're in that stressful situation, there are so many more times ahead of you that you can teach appropriate ways to get attention and ways to have
Sometimes
patience.
you just got to address the fire at hand.
Yeah. And I would say during the holiday season, that's not a time to be firm with your kid. And I know that we want to as adults, be firm and I am talking. Do you see, how many times have you heard that?
Sure.
I hear it on the street all the time or just out in public. I am talking to this person and you are yanking on me and, saying my name over and over again. And can you not see that I'm having a conversation? I will deal with you later. That's what our response is, because we get frustrated as adults, and we all get frustrated, and that part is normal. But I think that it's important to realize that there are situations where it's good to teach your kid that lesson, and that environment is a calm, private one.
Sure.
Not a big public one.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So, that's my soapbox on that one. Now it is time. So the next one is expressing gratitude.
Definitely relevant to the season.
Yes. All right. Let's find that lesson.
Right here.
Okay. Expressing gratitude.
Yeah. So you're going to prepare to role play. You're going to let your child hand you an object that you have requested. Okay. So may I have the cup?
Yes, we could do that.
Expressing gratitude, right? Yeah. Let your child hand you an object that you have requested. May I have the cup?
You may.
Okay. And then I'm going to express gratitude by saying something like, thank you, or I appreciate this, or another phrase, thank you so much. And then we're going to reverse roles and model the words, you're welcome, my pleasure, or other phrases. Okay, so now you're going to request.
Now I'm going to request the cup. May I have the cup?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. It's a good lesson. And I mean, it seems kind of, a lot of times I think with these grace and courtesy lessons or some of the other lessons in the primary curriculum that aren't quite the traditional academic style, we can feel a little silly because we're like, well, sure, you just say thanks. But you have to teach that if you want to see it. And that goes to your point about finding the right time. These are actually academic lessons. And just as though it would be difficult to give your child a reading lesson in the middle of the Christmas party, it's hard to imagine giving them a expressing gratitude lesson in the middle of the Christmas party. Their brains are not focused in on that. So the time to do it is now or beforehand, and to rehearse and to practice and to actually go through the processes and the steps so that they can remember oh, right, first I do this and then I do that. And the sequence will help them feel more comfortable.
Yeah, I probably would even preface this with putting out a bunch of, like, you're letting your child choose some objects.
Yeah.
Or maybe even putting them in another room. Like, put an assortment of objects on your kitchen counter, and then have your child go into the other room to go retrieve them for you, rather than it just being in front of you.
Yep.
And that could be fun.
All right.
Yeah. Well.
Continue.
Okay. Okay, so we'll go through the rest of level 3.
Yeah.
All right, so waiting in line, probably not something that is important for the holiday season, but could be.
I don't know. I think a lot of times we go to performances and shows, the Nutcracker or something like that, and little ones get wiggly as they're waiting to see Santa. Would be another example.
That is a good, that's a good one.
Yeah, so waiting in line is kind of, especially when it's in those kind of high, amped up, like the visit to Santa, or we're going to go see the performance or something like that.
Okay, and then asking questions, offering assistance, declining assistance, taking turns, using the peace table. Those are good ones, but they don't really call out to holidays for me.
Well, I would say I would disagree that taking turns. I know that games are often a part of my family's tradition, playing games together, or the kids playing games together, and knowing how to take turns is really essential to it.
And then for level 3, we have setting a table. And we're going to talk about that here in a bit with our theme Adorn, which members can find in the member library in the Lesson Explorer.
Right. That was from last February.
Yep. And then we have welcoming a visitor, which is ringing bells for me with the holiday season, if you might be having visitors come to your house. Offering food. Huge one for harvest season and the winter season. Passing a person, it could be useful if you're at a big event or something. Using a quiet voice, probably not the one for this season. Excusing oneself, I think that could be really useful. You're at a formal table, may I be excused? That's probably the only time our kids have used that phrase, may I be excused, is at the formal dining table.
Sure.
And we didn't really have our kids use that at home.
Yeah.
But it definitely was something that we taught to be used when we were visiting Grandma. And we knew there was going to be a formal, even though Grandma wouldn't care, we just felt like it was good to teach that kind of polite.
It's a sign of grace.
Yeah, it is. It is. Giving a compliment. Receiving a compliment.
Definitely.
These could be useful for social situations.
Definitely receiving a compliment. How many times does the little one show up in her holiday outfit and every aunt and uncle and cousin wants to pinch the chin? Oh, you're so adorable. You know.
Oh, you have sparkles on there.
Yeah. How do you respond to that and being prepared? And I think this also goes to the adult being prepared, because a lot of times kids can get really shy and want to hide. And being ready to say, sometimes as parents we can feel a little embarrassed, like, oh, no, she just wants to look at your sparkly dress, and they just want to hide behind your legs. So, the practice can help, but also for you as the adult in the situation, sort of be ready for the developmental milestone of the child.
Let's see, what else? Mediating at the peace table.
Yep.
Yeah.
So not a lot of peace table, although I suppose there's plenty of opportunities for the peace table to come alive during the holidays, given how stressful it can be. And I would say you probably won't have a chance to use the peace table at the holiday event.
Probably not at the holiday event.
You have the adults table, the kids table, and the peace table for your Thanksgiving. But it's also something where you might, kind of the goal of the peace table really is to sort of begin to integrate into the child's mind and life an attitude of peace and reconciliation. And so even though you probably won't use the literal peace table at a holiday gathering, teaching those skills, it can prepare them to some degree, with the caveat that no child is going to be on good as gold behavior when there's a Christmas tree and turkey and every cousin that they've never seen before, and toys galore and chocolate and all that stuff. Like, you just gotta lean into the magic and mischief of the season.
Yes, lean into the magic of mystery. Oh, and here's another good holiday tip is to have a quiet space for your children to go if they need to get some respite and be away from all of the social. You know, sometimes as adults, we know we've been in enough situations, we know kind of how to power through a crowded situation. We know that it will end, and we're aware of time more, and we know how to deal with our own stimulation. But I don't know how many of you have escaped to the bathroom for a little bit, just to like get away from the noise. I think those of us who are introverts will really identify with that. That sometimes you just need to get away, and so it's true with kids too. Sometimes kids just need to get away and be a little bit calm down, play with toys. That's something that we always do with our kids. Hello, friend. I'm sorry, Mr. Bunny. Are you mad? You seem like you might be frustrated or mad.
I am frustrated.
Why?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, but I want to hear about it.
Well, I was told that I could come out and help with the lesson.
Yes. We love it when you come and help out with a lesson.
But you didn't let me come out and help with the lesson.
Oh.
I'm real mad.
Mr. Bunny, I'm so sorry. We were not ready for you at that moment.
Yeah. Well, I was ready.
I know you were. I can see you're really, really feeling upset. What would make you feel better?
I don't know.
Would you like to help with the lesson now?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Well, I would love that.
Okay.
Do you want to help us to demonstrate one of the gratitude and courtesy lessons?
Yeah, I like that. That'd be good.
Okay, well, let's do it.
Oh, okay, good.
All right, well, let's do the expressing gratitude one.
Okay.
Is that okay? All right.
How do I do this?
Let me grab some objects for us.
Okay.
I have a persimmon.
What's that?
This is a Fuyu persimmon, which recently I realized there are two main kinds of persimmons, Mr. Bunny. I don't know if you eat persimmons, but one of our members actually ate a persimmon recently. They cut it in half like this and found something magical inside. Do you know what it is?
No.
A star.
Oh, that's a beautiful. There's a star in there?
There's a star inside.
Wow.
Not a real star. But it is the shape of a star.
Oh, I like that.
That's very cool. So I have a persimmon, and I also, let me think, another object I will get out for us is this.
Oh, that's very big.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Wow.
I know, it's
Is
almost as big as you.
Is that an apple?
It's not an apple, but it's red like a lot of apples are.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is called a pomegranate.
Pomegranate.
It's really cool. The thing I love about pomegranates, well, they taste amazing. They do. So I hope that we can taste one of these a little bit later. Yeah, we're not going to open it right now, but
can I eat
we'll
it right
taste
now?
It later. But look at this. This is a cool part about the pomegranate is you actually can still see where the pomegranate grew from its flower.
The other thing that's interesting about pomegranates is that when you cut them open, there's lots of little tiny seeds in there. That's what you eat.
Yes, you actually eat the seeds.
You don't eat the outside.
The fruit is actually around the little seeds.
Wow, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
I think the outside tastes pretty bitter, so I wouldn't want to eat the outside, but it is beautiful. And we have been using these, Mr. Bunny, to decorate our dining table.
Oh, that sounds real nice.
Yeah, because they're so colorful. So for this lesson, what I would like to do is I am going to ask you for one of these.
Okay.
And then your job is to retrieve it and give it to me.
Okay.
Okay? Seems pretty simple, right? All right. Mr. Bunny, would you mind handing me the persimmon?
Okay. Here's the persimmon for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
What do I do now?
You say you're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome. Maybe you'd like to ask this time. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. I would like, excuse me,
Yes?
may I have a persimmon?
You may.
Oh,
Here's your persimmon.
thank you very much.
You are welcome. It was my pleasure.
Yay, I love being useful.
Well, I love you being here.
Thank you. I also have something very special. I know this is not exactly grace and courtesy, but I think it's pretty hilarious.
Tell us.
Okay. You know, you can tell that turkeys are actually really good musicians.
Turkeys are musicians.
Yeah, they're always carrying around their drumsticks. Yay! Well, thanks, Mr. Bunny, for visiting us and sharing that deliciously joke. The deliciously turkey-ish, what a turkey of a joke.
Thank you, Mr. Bunny. Well,
Now,
friends.
if you enjoyed that joke, or maybe you'd like even more fun stuff, or more maybe to the point, you'd love to know the full scope and sequence of the Montessori primary and lower L curriculum, which includes all of those practical life lessons we were just going through on grace and courtesy.
The gratitude and courtesy lessons.
Gratitude and Christmas. So join us over. You can check us out online at childoftheredwoods.com, and you can learn more about our programs. Anyone who signs up at the complete or unlimited level gets access to the full ages 2 to 9 curriculum, plus all the lessons in our Constellation library. So it's a very good way to have a comprehensive curriculum, Montessori curriculum at home, and you get all the support from us that'll help you implement that. And if you'd like to kind of get a sense of what that's all about, you can sign up for our free trial where you can test out our Theme of the Month plan. And that is a 7-day free trial. Right now we have Stellar, which is a study of the stars, and we demoed some of those, I think, last week.
Yep.
This week, in fact, we're doing a really cool lesson it's a math lesson with star shapes. And that is actually featured this week from the Stellar book. Yep. So if you are in Stellar, or if you haven't gotten to that one yet, make sure you're working on it. I think you're going to love it. If you are interested in learning more, go check it out, sign up, try it out. And if you really love it, you can upgrade really easily to the full complete curriculum or the unlimited plan and get all of those lessons. All right.
Yes, well, the holiday season is 100% upon us, as I hope you could tell from my costume earlier. I've always wanted to dress up for Halloween as Autumn. I should definitely do it next year.
Oh, and hold on. This just in.
Aww.
Theo really enjoyed that demonstration. We will let our friend Mr. Bunny know, because he loves positive praise.
Descriptive praise.
Descriptive praise.
Well, I'm sure, friends, you already have a pretty practical, real life, everyday setup for meals at home. Every parent does. You do when you have kids. For Montessori kids, it's generally more hands-on. We're encouraging more independence. But this is an opportunity during the holiday season to take it up a notch, to get a little fancier than usual. And one way that you can do that is through the art of tablescaping.
Ooh.
And so we are going to feature an activity from Adorn, which members can find in the Lesson Explorer.
Yep, that's right.
And they can find their own PDF.
You can go get your whole pack. It's from February 2023, so definitely available there. A lot of great stuff, including tablescaping.
Oh gosh, and there's so much, there are a lot of fun things in this.
This actually is a really good one for the season. So this is, we actually released it in February. So kind of thinking around like Valentine's Day, but actually there's a lot of stuff in here that would be perfect for Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, et cetera, et cetera.
Let's see, we've got an outfit conjunction activity that's a fun way to teach grammar. We've got a way to adorn ourselves where we use these little paper dolls.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And kids decorated them with their own clothing or clothing from around the world that they were inspired by. Adorning with spheres. It was a geometry lesson. That's cool. A lesson about making jewelry for oneself.
Yep,
Oh,
that's a
we made
method.
some leis too.
Leafy lays, in fact. So
Yeah, so that was fun. And then we had this lesson about tablescaping. Let's see if I
this is
can-
the one where we had the fruity bracelets. You make an edible bracelet.
Yes, our friends. I remember our friends were making those for a long time.
Yes, grapes and
afterwards.
all sorts of good stuff.
That was really
that you
cool.
string and then.
Just one about fragrances.
Yeah, this is also the one that has the parts cards on the not parts cards, but the cards on the gems.
Oh, here we are. Tablescaping. Okay, so yeah, so even though you probably have your own setup already for your mealtime at home, maybe you could explore ways to make it even more elaborate and more fun. I know that my grandmother in particular really enjoyed decorating the table for holidays and for family gatherings. Had all of the little fancy things came out, the silver and the special dishes and you know, all of the things. And I know that your mother does the same. Your mother really loves every time we go to his parents' house, there's an elaborate table set up, and everything is always coordinated with the tablecloth and the napkins and all.
Yeah, she really loves to
it can be
host.
fun. You know, it's just fun. And Maria Montessori actually had the little children do this at the very first children's houses. And there is a picture you can find online. If you look up Maria Montessori's the glass classroom from the 1915 Pan Pacific Expo, which was held here in California, in San Francisco. Maria Montessori actually demonstrated what children could do in the classroom, had a little mini classroom, which some little friends who, you know, probably older grown-ups now I got to attend. And in that classroom, she actually demonstrated the kind of tablescaping that the children did. The children actually decorated the entire table and served everybody an elaborate meal, and everyone was stunned. People were able to peek into the classroom, peer through the glass, and see what was going on.
Yeah.
And sometimes what they saw was like a midday meal. And all of the children, there would be like 20 kids all sitting down at these little teeny tiny tables that were pushed together, and the children had done it all. They had laid down the tablecloths and they had decorated, set the place setting for every single person. I think even in that picture, there might even be like a candlestick, you know, in front of each child. I will have to go back and look at that. But I know that there were candlesticks at that table. And a lot of people might be like, oh, real candles? Yes, we say real candles, which we did with our kids when they were very little. They may not have stayed on for very long before we blew them out, but we lit the candle and it's become a family tradition of ours. So for this activity, you want to be thinking about ways that you can kind of fancy up your table so that your children are involved in the tablescaping itself. And something that we did when our kids were little was we kind of just kept tablescaping going. We tried to incorporate any seasonal fruits or veggies. A bowl of oranges works really well for this time of year. We bought some pomegranates, so we'll have our little persimmons and pomegranates. I love the color combination.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's so pretty. But also with tablescaping, you can bring in little items like, you can have some decorative items. Here's a little clay pumpkin that my son taught me how to make, and then I actually fired. You can make one of those yourself with regular air dry clay. You can put a little candlestick on the table. Some flowers is a nice addition. These ones are faux flowers of our sons, but even just like a little arrangement like this, something to decorate, maybe a little candle, a little vase with some real flowers or faux flowers, and then when you're ready to light your candle, of course you'll set it aside. But just like a little gathering, and then we would put these on a plate, and we still do this today, just like a little plate underneath, and our little decorative items just in the middle of the table. And sometimes we really like to just, our kids will get out, we have a lot of candlesticks because I love candles.
Well, you made this candlestick.
I'm making these candlesticks now, yeah, I know.
We have plenty of practice candlesticks.
We did before,
That's
even
true.
though.
That's true.
And so our kids would like to like line up, gather all the candles together.
That's
sometimes in the middle, sometimes we make them in a long line down the table. It's just fun to decorate with your kids.
That's right.
For tablecloths, if you don't have a tablecloth for your table, something that we used to do is I would take the kids to the craft store like Joann's or Michael's here, and we would look for fabric that was festive and thematic. So around Lunar New Year, we would go and we would see if we could find some fabric with dragons on it. During the Christmas season, we would go and see what we could find with little Santas or something red and sparkly. And then we would lay that tablecloth on the children's table. If we didn't have a big tablecloth for our big table, it was fine. We would just get a little tablecloth for the toddler table. Do you remember us decorating the toddler table? We used to decorate that toddler table often. And then we would just mini tablescape the little toddler table. We didn't necessarily feel the need to decorate our whole dining table elaborately. We could elaborately decorate a little mini table.
That's right.
Where the kids could sit down and eat. Yeah, so that was really fun. So this is something you can do at home really easily. You can teach your children how to tablescape. And really tablescaping is just looking at your table and just adding some decorations to it.
Now this activity, though, what makes the one that you can find in the book special is that it includes a cheat sheet.
Yes.
For how to set a fancy table. Here you can see top down.
Oh, top down.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so it shows you where all the different things go, the salad fork, the dinner fork. Now, I don't know about you guys. I didn't grow up with all of these things, but for a fancy dinner, or a family gathering, my mom especially liked to try and decorate. She just thought it was fun, and we would have 2 kinds of forks and the whole 9 yards. And it actually is fun to kind of celebrate. So if it's something that is a part of your family tradition, then invite your children to participate. And if it's not, maybe as something fun to do, we might suggest setting out a fancy plate.
Yes, I remember as a kid loving napkin rings.
Oh yeah.
Those are really easy to make. You can make them with pipe cleaners. They don't have to be official ones, or you can find them at thrift stores as well. We used to find them at thrift stores. They're really, really easy. You can make them out of clay. So easy and so fun. But I love sticking our napkin, like rolling up our napkins and sticking them through the little napkin rings. As a child, that's something that I remember loving. And so I like that we have included that here.
Yeah, so in this activity, you're going to do the tablescaping with your decorations. You're going to lay out your tablecloth or some other cloth, and then you're going to, as many of these things as you have, you're going to set the fancy, formal, proper place setting.
And we can assess what we have here too. We're
That's right.
yes, we've got cloth napkins. Do we have napkin rings? No, we'll cross
Maybe
that
we can,
off.
or we can make them.
Do
like
we
you
have
said.
water glasses? Yeah, so you can go through the checklist and decide what you do have, what you don't have or don't want to include. And with your child, you guys would decide what your place setting is going to look like at your fancy table.
Now, here's a question. I assume that most people aren't going to dine with the king and don't need to know all of these things. This is sort of it's a bit old school.
You don't have to memorize it for sure.
Yeah, but
when you go to a restaurant, if you
true.
do go to a nice restaurant, you will encounter this formal place setting.
But I would assume that actually this activity is more than just. In fact, it's probably much more about something else than learning where the dinner fork goes. What are some of the other things that are being taught in this lesson?
Okay, so we talk about this all the time, but the first thing that pops out in my mind is this: we were looking at this picture and it's kind of a mess of objects. And so one of the things that we're teaching our children how to do is to identify a particular shape. This involves it's just visual skills. You know, we're picking something particular out of a big mess of things. And so when I say, like, can you look at this picture and find the dinner knife? You know, there are two shapes here that look like knives, and then we've got some words, and we've also got some images. We can see, like, this is a small knife, and this is this one starts with D. It's the dinner knife, right? So we're kind of picking things out with our eyes,
and so some visual discrimination.
Yeah, and also we're learning about sequencing as well. You know, so when you actually set the table, you're probably going to do it sequentially. You're not going to go to the table and say, okay, well, here's a fork for this person. Here, this person gets a spoon, and this person gets a plate, and this person gets a water glass. No, you're going to start with one. Probably it's going to be the plate, right? Like, first, everybody gets a plate. A plate for you, a plate for you, a plate for you, a plate for you, you know, and so, and it'll also involve counting.
Now comes the bowl. Bowl goes in the middle.
That's right. The bowl goes in the middle of every plate if you have a bowl. And same for the water glasses. So your child is really learning procedure when they're doing a work like this, and it's setting them up for sequencing. So they're getting their visual discrimination. It teaches so many things, just the table setting itself. They're visually discriminating between all the little objects. They are sequencing them in order. They are learning one-to-one correspondence, like this person gets one plate, this person gets one plate. This plate needs one bowl, this plate needs one bowl, you know, and you just continue until the place settings are finished. So it is not an easy task. We tend to think about setting a table as something that's kind of easy, and we're going to just put all the plates out, and we're going to put all the forks out. But actually, it involves a lot of cognitive abilities on the part of children. Not only do they need to know how many forks to put out, maybe they don't need to know how many forks. They're just going to take a basket of forks, and they're just going to start placing them around the table until they stop. They visually need to look and see, like, did everybody get a fork, or did I miss anyone's forks, you know? So it involves that. It involves a lot of movement back and forth from the kitchen or wherever you keep your supplies, back into the dining room, back into the kitchen, back into the dining room. So there's a lot of movement involved. There's a lot of coordination involved, carrying fragile things, especially if you allow your children to carry breakable dishes. And we recommend that you do allow your children to carry the breakable, the china, the glasses, you know, that are real water glasses.
That's a big part of the
so you're teaching your child how to hold it. You know, how do you hold a water glass so that it is not going to break? You usually teach them how to hold it with two hands, how to hold a plate with two hands, you know, so they won't fall or slip. It's just,
and some other things that might go with it. I'm thinking, like, pouring water into the glass is another lesson in the practical life. Another one that for an older child, not a but a little older child, is word problems. So if you're going to make this full setting, you need more than one fork. How many forks? There are 1, 2, 3. Well, I have 3 people eating. How many forks do I need? That's a classic. That's multiplication, right? 3 times 3, and it's a word problem, and that's actually fully in line with an older primary and definitely into the lower elementary, and they're doing multiplication. And so there's a lot of things in that you can start to do to sort of add on to this lesson.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that's not in our picture that we want to end with is how to make an awesome placemat for the bottom. Now, this one is, again, it's not in Adorn, but we're kind of experimenting with something new here on the show, where we're adding extensions, and this extension is placemat making. A placemat could go right underneath that place setting, or it could just be something that you and your kiddos make to put underneath everybody's little plate for the feast that people enjoy on Thursday, a couple Thursdays from now.
Okay, so what do we need for placemat setting? So we need some colored paper, And we've just got our regular construction paper here.
Yes, and we have a comment saying,
Yeah.
hello, Aubrey and David, so happy to
Hi.
see part of this live. I was just thinking of this activity.
Fun.
I skipped it last time. I think this is now the perfect time.
Yes.
Yep, and probably, most people, this is a holiday time for most cultures and most people of one type or another.
That's right.
Some kind of a holiday usually happens at the end of the year. Great time to kind of practice those grace and courtesy in the tablescaping lessons regardless.
All right, so I'm actually going to use 2 pieces of paper. Well, I don't know, let's use a contrasting color. What color are you in the mood for?
Well, I like purple.
Okay, let's go with purple.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to make our table. We're going to make a placemat here, and we're going to have in this case, I've got a purple sheet of
And I've also
paper,
got a white sheet.
but it could be any 2
Oh,
colors.
yeah, let's do pink. That's fun. That's also contrasting.
Yeah,
So we just want colors that contrast.
Any 2 contrasting, or any 2 colors, I suppose, but contrasting colors are especially fun for.
Yeah. And then I've just got a pencil and some scissors, and we're ready to go.
Yeah,
So,
and I can imagine picking like green and red for Christmas or whatever. Like there's all kinds of fun ways you can make those. You can pick whatever colors you want to sort of make your thing pop out.
Yeah. All right. So the purple is going to be the background for us. So this is going to be the actual placemat. And these are placemat. I guess you could laminate them if you wanted to, but for us, I don't know. We just tended to kind of just consume, and then make another one, and it gave us the opportunity for that. So this would be a really fun thing to do together. So the purple is going to be the background. This is going to be the, where did Adorn go? Did you put it away? Can you get that back out again? Can you take us to the page where the place setting was again? There we go. Okay, so this is essentially, we're going to make our own version of this for placemats. This is a classic Montessori thing. I have never read it as like something that Maria Montessori did, but it is super, super common in Montessori toddler classrooms, especially, to have little placemats showing children where the plates go and where the little cups go. You can find pre-made ones done for you on Etsy. Families sometimes sew them. You could embroider them if you wanted to make them out of cloth instead and embroider them. You can. But we never did that. I don't know why. We just made ours out of paper. It was fun. All right, so here we go. So we're going to decide, why don't you take a look at this, and I'm going to get out some of our things, and you are going to check off on this list what we have to make our placemats with.
Okay.
All right, so I have, number 1, a water glass.
Water glass, I see that here, yes.
Number 2, I have a plate.
Yes, a big, now is that oh wait, is that a bread plate?
No, it is the plate.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to count that as our regular plate.
Yes. And I have a bowl.
Okay, yes, I see.
Okay.
That goes in the middle.
And I also have some silverware. I've got a knife.
Oh, okay. Well, I see 2 knives. There's a spreading knife, small spreading knife, and a dinner knife.
And this is the dinner knife.
Okay. And
I have a fork.
is that the dinner fork?
It is. It's a dinner fork.
Okay.
We're going to call it the dinner fork.
And
It's technically a salad fork. I don't know. And here we have a spoon.
oh, is that a dessert spoon or a soup spoon?
We're going to call it a soup spoon.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got these things. What else do we have? We also have a napkin.
Is that a cloth napkin?
It is a cloth
Oh,
napkin.
nice. Okay.
I know. Okay. So these are the things that we are going to use, and so let's just see how they're going to actually go in the place settings. So we've got a little napkin. We've got the dinner fork, which will go here. Oh, this actually says our napkin can go in the middle.
Yeah, with a ring on it if you
With
have
a ring
one.
on it if we have one, and
But we don't, and that's okay.
Yeah,
so we're just going to
that's all right.
fold it.
Okay.
And then the picture shows the knife.
Okay, the
Goes
knife
next to the plate.
goes next to the plate,
And then our spoon.
and then our spoon.
And our water glass.
And the water glass
Would
goes
go
at
right-
the top.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this this place setting is a little bit cramped, but we're going to make it work. Okay?
You know what? I tend to find that children don't care.
No, they don't. Children do not care. As an adult,
We care as the adults,
I'm
but
like,
they don't care.
I should have chosen a bigger piece of paper. But you know what? We're going to go with it. We'll see what happens, and our kids will be happy.
They will.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start with this. So now that I kind of know where things are going,
Okay.
we're going to start with our plate, and I'm going to turn it over. And
All
we're
right.
not going to do it on the purple. We're going to do it here. We can always adjust the sizes of things.
Sure.
We're just going to do it right here. I'm going to make this plate. I'm going to actually just use as much room as I can.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to place it here because I want
Yeah,
to
maximizes the
maximize
paper.
my paper. Yeah. And then I'm going to use it like a stencil. And this reminds me of the kind of pencil control you're developing with the metal insets.
Yeah, this
So
is
if you're-
definitely something you'd find in the reading and writing curriculum, tracing in metal insets.
Okay.
Yep.
So here I am. I've got my plate. All right. What else do I need? I need a bowl.
You need a bowl.
Okay. Let's see if I can make room for that. Oh no.
Make way for bowls.
Make way for the bowl. I don't think, do I have room?
Yeah,
Yes, I
you got
barely
it.
have room. We're going to run into trouble when we get to the tableware. We might have to use different colors for that. That's okay. Actually, it would be really cool if we used a different color for our bowl anyway.
Yes, because that way it's sitting
we
inside.
should use
Yeah.
a different color. So let's pick another color for the
I
bowl
think we
instead.
should use
And while you're doing that, why don't you pick another
red.
color for the bowl? And why don't you pick another color for the same color for the cup?
So
All
the
right.
cup
Do you want to
and
do
the
that?
bowl are going to be red.
Yes. Okay. And I will do the plate here in pink.
Okay, and I'm going to trace the bowl.
Yeah, this will be better because then you'll be able to see the contrast.
And I'm also going to trace this cup.
Okay.
This is a great example of why it's always important to do the lesson yourself first.
Well, I usually agree with that. But if I were doing this with kids, I actually think it's a good example of troubleshooting as well.
That's true.
Like, what are we going to do? How will we solve that problem? Should we go get another plate? Is our plate too big? Should we get different colors? And this is just like, it's actually a really critical thinking skill opportunity that you can be sharing with your kid, and that's fine too. Okay, I've got my plate here, and that's going to look really pretty. It's going to look really nice on this paper. Okay. And then you have a bowl that you're cutting out. And I am going to cut out, I'm going to cut out a little fork here with our pencil.
All right, I've got a bowl.
And I'm just going to trace around this fork, actually. I know that seems funny, but it's not a bad way to do it.
So the first step was gather our materials, our different color paper, and we might want to have more than 2 sheets, depending on the size of our utensils and things, but probably more than 2 sheets.
Probably.
And maybe at least 2 different colors, but even more was nice. So here we've got a purple and pink and a red.
All right, this spoon is cracking me up because it's hard to trace around, but it's fun. Okay,
Okay,
I'm
so that's
doing
step
it,
1.
though.
And then step 2 is we're going to take one of the colors and we're going to use it as our place setting, our place mat.
I did it though. It looks great.
Oh, that does look great. And then you're going to set the materials, the actual physical objects, on the placemat to make sure that they all fit. Oh, you're going to cut off your bottom.
That's on purpose. I'm going to make my knife a little smaller.
Okay. And then you're going to trace in colors, and using contrasting colors is fun.
It is fun. Yeah, I'm going to make this knife just a little smaller than a normal knife. so that it will fit on our placemat.
Yeah, right.
The place setting will fit. Okay. All right, cool. So here you can see already kind of where we're going with this. We've got a little circle for the cup. It's going to go like that. And we've got a big circle for the plate, which will fit perfectly right there because it's perfectly sized, and the bowl will go on top, so we'll be able to see exactly where it goes. All right, and I think because the napkin is supposed to go inside, I wonder if we could, I wonder if we could make like a little rectangle showing that the napkin actually goes here as well.
You want to use pink for that?
Do we have extra?
We might.
Yeah, I think we do. All right, yeah.
Or do we want to use a different color since there already is a pink plate?
It could be fun to use a different color. I've got lots. We could just use this white. That might look nice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you got the spoon? So here's the knife. Here's the spoon. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. This makes me happy. The Montessorian in me is like, ooh. Okay, there's the knife. Is there going to be room for the spoon next to it?
Well, there was room for all the objects when they were physically laid down.
Yeah. You know what? They may overlap, and that's okay too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be like a little collage. I don't know, is this inspiring? Has anyone done this before? I want to hear in the comments if you have done it.
Yeah, this one we've never featured.
Okay, here is
This one's never been featured before, but it
fork.
is a classic.
So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to
Cut those tines?
Yeah, I cut the tines. It's cute. Okay, here's one. I'm just winging it.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see what it looks like when I'm finished. It's a Frankenfork.
A spork.
Almost. This is actually super fun and relaxing too. Okay, and maybe I'll make the last, I don't know how many tines are on a fork, but.
I think it varies.
Okay, well ours is going to have.
It's going to have a 3 and a dominant claw.
Maybe it'll have, I'll make a 4th.
Oh, okay.
This looks more like a fork.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Okay, now we got to add that napkin.
Okay, and a napkin? Yes. All right, so we're just going to cut a nice little rectangle for our napkin. Right? Yeah. Okay. And we'll just place that across so that our children know it's like a no sign.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it does, I bet.
That's okay. So I think that you can kind of see where this is going. This is actually really fun, even though my fork has some trouble. I could probably do a better job with the fork. Probably should have drawn it out before I cut it, but it's fun and it makes me feel happy and it's very satisfying. And after all of these are glued down to the page.
So then you're gonna trace them, cut them, and glue them.
Yeah, and then you can see like after it's all finished, then your child will know exactly where things go.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, see? So they can put the fork, they can put the, oh, and this is another Montessori activity too. Matching an object to the silhouette of an object is a literal language activity that we do in Montessori.
That's true.
So gosh, this lesson covers so many.
Jam-packed.
Yeah, it really is. It's a gluing lesson. Your child is learning how to trace around things. So that reminds me of the metal insets. They're learning how to apply glue, and you would apply glue to just the edges of the larger objects.
There.
And then they're matching the actual object to the silhouette of the object, just like that. And then we have our plate, and we have the bowl.
And our napkin.
And we have the napkin. Ta-da! We're ready.
I love it.
Yeah, so fun. All right. Well, friends, I hope that some of you decide to do this, whether or not, and I hope that we have also conveyed, I know that we kind of pulled this together really quickly for you, but this is the kind of project that would take you all morning with your kids.
Yeah, and to underscore, if you're like, well, what value is it? There's a lot of significant lessons within this activity.
Yeah.
It's not simply cutting out shapes. It is the cutting and the theory, but there's also the visual discrimination, there's the tracing, there's a lot of things. There's reading and writing, there's art, there's practical life, there's sensorial, all packed within this. Plus, it's just a ton of fun.
Yeah. So I think that this lesson really underscores that that a lot of people actually miss the point of a lot of the Montessori materials which are out there. So it's fine. You're not throwing any shade to anyone who's ever bought placemats. Mm-hmm. So buying them is great too. But if you look at what is the point of this activity, there's a lot more that could be brought to it as opposed to just providing your child with a way to know where their fork goes.
That's right.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people think this is a great Montessori activity because we're teaching our children where a fork goes.
Yeah, like some 1950s Miss Manners thing.
And yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's relevant, maybe it's not, but there's actually so much more you could be teaching with this lesson by making your own placemat with your child, and maybe even making one multiple times.
Yeah, if you're gonna, maybe you need one for yourself and one for your rabbit friend.
That's right. That's right. Maybe a teeny tiny one for your dollhouse friends,
That's
or
right.
So you could just extend this lesson on and on and on, and it's great if you want to save these placemats, but again, the point of the activity is to integrate the Montessori lessons into your life, and I think that this one integrates a whole lot.
Yeah, it's a good one, and perfect for the season.
Perfect for the season.
All right, well, it's been a pleasure having you with us today. We won't have an episode next week because we're getting into holiday time. Yes. We'll be back in December, though. So I hope everyone out there has a wonderful and blessed Thanksgiving week or holiday week, and safe travels and all that good stuff. If you want to know more about our work, please head over to our website, childoftheredwoods.com. You can reach us by email at hello@childoftheredwoods.com or via our chat feature on our website. Try out our free trial. We've got Pirouette coming up in December, which is going to be awesome. It's also great for the holidays. It's not specifically about the Nutcracker, but there's a lot of things about ballet, classical dance, Nutcracker. So it's really nice for those of you who have a little one who's interested in dance or in ballet or in the Nutcracker, or it's just a part of your family tradition. You should definitely check that out. All right.
Thanks, friends. See you next time.